Hi everybody, this is Damien from Legend Life. As you know, we like to share inspirational stories about people who are living their best life. Today I have Claudia Tavanni from Sardinia. She is a travel blogger. So how are you today, Claudia?
I'm good. It's beginning to be fall and it's lovely. I love it.
Very good. So to get started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you developed your interest in travel?
Um, well, I was born and raised here in Cagliari, the capital of Sardinia. This is where I lived most of my life, but I have spent prolonged periods of time overseas between the US and the UK, where I studied for my master's and my PhD degree, which is in international human rights law. But at the back of my head, I've always wanted to travel. And I think I've always had it, even as a child. To me, when my parents packed the bags and we would go to their property at the beach, or we would travel to north of Italy to go to the mountains, or we would take the plane and go to Spain. It was so thrilling to see a different city and to realize how people were ultimately the same, even in a different city, and they still had the same way to smile. And I was very curious. I still am very curious, and I think that's what made me a traveler. I just cannot think of how many places there are in the world that must be beautiful, and I'm not visiting them. I want to visit them.
Okay, very good. So tell me a little bit about the journey from academia, so which was your background, and then making a transition to becoming a travel blogger. So it's quite a big change.
So around 10 years ago, I finished my PhD and I got a fellowship to come back to my hometown university. So I was in England at the time, and then I got this fellowship to come back to my hometown university, but it was a temporary fellowship. And once it expired, I started getting offered a number of temporary jobs, far from home, actually. So it would be 6 months here, 1 month there. And I was like, you know what, that's not what I want. I'm just going to go on a career break, pack my bags, and travel across Central and South America, which is something I've always wanted to do. I got inspired to do that after seeing Motorcycle Diaries. That's a real story here.
Yeah.
And so I did. So I started, I had been on trips, so long trips before. So I had been on the other side of the world, South Africa, South America, Cuba, Central America, but I really wanted to take that much time off. So I started in Guatemala, traveled all the way to Peru, and then I was, for the last couple of months during my trip, I was actually sick with a bad throat infection, to the point that eventually I decided to cut the trip short and fly home. And as soon as I got home, the doctor said to me, well, you need to have surgery and have your tonsils removed. And when I woke up from the surgery, you don't want to know the pain I was in. It was the worst thing you can imagine, like horrible, horrible, horrible. And I looked at my mom, and I don't even know how I managed to say this, but I looked at her and I said, well, I don't want to ever go back to academia. That's not what makes me happy. I want to continue. I want to work in the travel industry. I want to be a traveler or whatever. I don't exactly remember what I said, but that was the idea. And so I pursued it. And I spent my money. I got a job as a tour leader. So that sent me back to Central America for 4 months. And then I focused on my blog, which I already had, but I'd never taken seriously until then. And then I decided, well, let's see if I can make this work. I was also very, very lucky with my family, because they really believed in me. In fact, my mom had been telling me to give up academia. Well, this is not for you. Give up academia, Claudia. Just open a blog and that's it. You could be making money blogging. And I was like, I'm 30 something, and here's my mom. She's what, 55, 60 now, and she's telling me to open a blog, and she's way ahead of me, even in thinking. She's like so forward thinking. I was like, she's crazy. What is she talking about? Make money blogging? She's nuts. And she was so right. Like, she was so right. And, I've learned to trust my parents and to trust what they say, and so I did. I worked really hard, and it worked until COVID. But I'm hoping it continues working after COVID. But yeah, it's been a thrilling journey.
Oh, excellent. So, how many countries have you traveled to now?
Okay, I think if I'm not mistaken, it could be 70. Keep in mind that there are some places that I keep going back to. So, like, 70 countries, of which I've been 3 times to Argentina, 3 times to South Africa, 3 times to Mexico, 3 times to Nicaragua, 5 or 6 times to Israel, Spain. I've lost count.
Yeah.
France, I've lost count. That I get to a country, decide that I love it, and I am never quite done with it. And I know I will go back. I know I will go back to Argentina. I know I will go back to South Africa. Israel is like my second home. So
No, brilliant. So, your top three would be Argentina, South Africa, and Israel?
for sure, like 100%. Of those I've visited, they're the ones I like the most.
So, what is it that appeals to you? So, what is it about a country that makes you go, "This is the place I need to go back to"?
So with Argentina, I think it's the perfect mix of nature. It's breathtaking. The mountains, the glaciers, the waterfalls, the hikes. The landscape is amazing. The culture is very easy for me to get to adjust to their culture, because like most of them are Italian. So
Yeah.
that's very easy for me. And I speak Spanish. So again, that's very easy for me. Um, and the food, I love the food. I mean, I'm not vegan, so some people may be offended with if I say I love their steak, but that's 100%. And I love the wildlife as well. With South Africa, I cannot get over the fact that within one country they can have so many landscapes, and they can have a city like Cape Town that literally has it all. Like, you're never done exploring Cape Town. I cannot get over the fact that within the same country you can see whales and penguins, and then you can see lions and rhinos. How is that possible? That is like crazy. It's like, and then the food and the wine. Oh my God, the food and the wine. So I went to South Africa the first time, and I was like, South African wine. I'm Italian, please. And then they took me wine tasting to Stellenbosch, and I was like, oh my God, okay, now this is what we're talking about. And so I had to go, like the day before flying back home, I had to go to a store and buy an extra suitcase because I had bought too much wine to carry home. I loved it. And then with Israel, it's a whole series of things. I love the way of life. It's 100% like home to me. Again, the food and the wine are fabulous. Tel Aviv is right by the beach, and I'm a beach girl.
Yeah.
I grew up by the beach, so it reminds me of home. It's very, very friendly. It's very lively. It's very culturally active, very politically active, despite what people think. People tend to have a certain specific idea of Israel. And when you go there, you realize, wait, this is not what I thought it would be. You think of Israel as unsafe and unwelcoming, and it's like the other way around. It's super safe, super welcoming, super friendly. People are so outgoing. And I have so many friends. Like, my Israeli friends are my Israeli family. They're like, every now and then they're texting me, when are you coming back? I'm not Israeli, so I cannot really come back right now. Israel is closed, the borders are closed. But it's 100% going to be the first country I travel to when COVID is over.
Okay. So what kind of traveler are you? So you obviously like the wine, the food experience, but it also appears you like adventure, going outdoors, hiking.
Yeah, hikes. I need a good hike. I think I'm very traditional. Like, I don't do just one thing during a trip. I do a mix of everything. So I can be in a museum and then I'm happy going on a hike. I can spend an entire day being lazy at a beach, and then I can go wine tasting, like everything. I'm not very sophisticated.
Well, as you say, you have to
Or maybe
experience
or
everything.
or maybe I'm very sophisticated in all of them.
Well, could be. It's all up to one's perspective, isn't it?
Exactly.
So, what would be your most memorable travel experience?
Oh my God, I have so many. Do you want a funny story or just any story?
Well,
Uh, uh, Wait, I have so many stories. I'll tell you one that just popped into my mind right now. So I had just arrived in Botswana. It was my first night camping in Botswana. And we were in there's Okavango, and then there's the other valley, the other river, in Botswana, Chobe. We were in Chobe
yeah.
National Park. So we were camping, and I wake up. It must have been like it was still nighttime. I couldn't see a thing, and must have been 4 a.m. And I was like, man, Martin next door in the tent next to me is snoring so loud, and I was like, wait, that's kind of weird snoring. And that was a lion. And I was like, I cannot believe it was the most amazing thing. And then the morning after, when we went for breakfast, the our guy told us like he heard the lion, and I said, where was he? Where was the lion? And he's like, oh, that must have been far away. You can hear them roaring from such a distance. But I cannot. It was like I get goosebumps thinking about it.
Cool. So, and what would be your most challenging travel experience?
Okay, so this is again a very memorable story. It's hilarious. Like back then, I didn't find it funny. I found it only challenging, but it was, you know, telling the story is actually very funny. So basically, I was in Peru and I was in Panama and I had to cross over to Colombia, and there's no land crossing. So the only way I could do this was either on a sailboat that goes through the San Blas Islands, or on a flight. And I was like, man, I'm an adventurer. I'm a beach girl. I gotta go by the boat. And I was like, cool. I'll be on the sailboat for 5 days. I'll get to Cartagena, and it's gonna be cool. And the minute I stepped on that boat, I was like, man, I'm so seasick. I was like, I could not believe it. Was horrible. And so after pretty much 24 hours of hell, we arrived on the very first island, which was anything but charming. And the captain said, well, Claudia, you've been feeling sick all day, so I think it's better if you get off the boat here. And I said, well, I'm never coming back. So he got me to shore, saying there would probably be a hostel where I could sleep. And then as soon as I get down, we go to this one place where they would have rooms. And then the guy that worked there comes out and it's like, no, we don't have rooms. We don't have rooms. And he said, well, I'll take you to the chief of the island. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And then the chief of the island gets so mad at me, like for having landed without his previous permission and having broken like around 20 articles of the Kunayala Constitution. And I was like, listening to all of them. And then at some point I was like, wait a second, don't you have an article of your constitution that says if people are sick and in desperate time and in need, you have to help them? And it was like, good point. So he made me pitch a tent under a palm tree right by the runway. There was a little teeny tiny airport where teeny tiny planes would come in and out throughout during the day. So I pitched my tent, and then, you know, I crawled inside the tent. I was still so dizzy and so seasick, and I was like, I'm done. Nothing else can happen to me now. Of course, it started raining, but it was a nightmare, very challenging. But I'd go back. Probably not by sailboat. That's
Obviously
definitely
not.
no, that's not for me. But I would definitely go back. It was quite a fun experience.
It sounds interesting to say the least. So, what about your biggest adventure? So, what most adventurous travel experience?
Mm, you mean that wasn't adventurous enough?
Well, you know, I'm sure you have some other ones that you can relate to us.
um, um, oh well, Ethiopia, like a year ago. It was that was actually adventurous and very challenging. Like um, it's very much undiscovered yet.
Yeah,
So you never really know what you're signing up for when you go to Ethiopia. The country is beautiful. The landscape is truly unique. It's something like you've never seen before. But the services for tourists are virtually non-existent. Um, I loved it. It was amazing. We went to all sorts of places. One of the very last stops we did, speaking we, because I visited with a very dear friend of mine, Margherita. And one of the very last places we visited was the Danakil Depression, and we went to Dalol, which is where they have the salt lakes,
yeah,
the colorful salt lakes. It was so hot, like crazy hot. And you know, to us it was just hot, but it's also one of the most dangerous places on earth, because you really have to watch your step and stay with a group, because it's easy to get very dehydrated. It's very easy to get, once you get dehydrated, to doze off and get lost and lose the group, and there is no way you can survive in that heat. And we're speaking, it must have been 40 degrees by 8 a.m.
yeah. Very
So
well.
that was it, but it was great. It was great. I'm not sure I would go again. But I'm glad I did.
Crossed it off, but don't need to go back.
Exactly.
So, so what would you say to someone who isn't a traveler or hasn't really started traveling? So, what would you tell them what the benefits of travel are, why they should go traveling?
So my basically my only the only thing I would say would be, what are you waiting for? Like, what's your excuse? I mean, other than COVID right now, please don't travel. Please stay at home and stay safe. Oh, well, you know, it's such an eye opener. What I love about traveling is that you learn so much about the world from your own experience, and you learn how we all are the same throughout the world. Human beings all strive to achieve happiness, no matter what they are. That's what they want. And even though we are from very different cultures, we all smile, we all cry, we all need a hug, no matter the culture. And you know, yeah, in some cultures maybe hugs are not as often given as they are in, say, Italy.
Yeah,
But we're very affectionate people. In some countries, there people are maybe a bit more reserved, but people still hug. And I also find that despite everything, most people are actually nice and generous. And even in countries that have a bad reputation for being dangerous, for being poor, people are still very generous and very helpful and very kind, even when you really are coming from a privileged position, which is that of a tourist that has the money to travel and has the passport to travel. Let's not forget that in a lot of countries, people cannot have a passport
Yep.
and have the money to go back home to a safe place, to a job that pays.
Yeah, it's a lot different than a lot of people. So yes,
Oh,
no.
yeah.
So traveling definitely is an eye opener. It gives you a different perspective of the world. So when COVID finally finishes, so we're all waiting. So what's next on the travel itinerary?
Well, as I said before, my friends are waiting for me to go back to Israel. So that's stop number one. I think I'm gonna try and go back to Argentina because I want to take my dad to Argentina. He's been, he's been nagging me about seeing Perito Moreno, Iguazu Falls for a long time. The only thing is that he also wants to go to Machu Picchu, and I'm trying to make him understand that they're not quite close. So, uh, so I think that's gonna happen as well. I'm gonna take him there, and then because COVID forced me to stay away from so many friends in 2020. I really want to meet my friends, friends that I've had for a long time, and friends that became such throughout this difficult time. So, friends in Greece, friends in Georgia, friends in Germany, friends in Spain, friends in Oregon, so all over. But I want to prioritize personal relationships, even when it comes to traveling. So see my family in Israel, take my family to Argentina, see my friends throughout the world, around the world.
Sounds
Makes sense?
good.
Yeah, okay, good.
So do you have a bucket list?
No,
No.
because the term bucket list it creeps me out. It's a very North American thing.
Yeah.
We don't have that here in Italy. Maybe it's becoming a more known um, term, but we don't really use it. More like I'd like to think of it as a wish list or as a dream destinations. In that case, I do.
Okay.
So I
So
have I have a bucket list, but not under the bucket list name.
yeah, no, which is reasonable. Like some people, as you said, get a little bit turned off by the concept.
That's me.
But then there are some people who don't have any kind of a list, and then they don't have any goals or objectives, so they never actually go off and achieve anything as well. So I think a wish list is a good alternative. So what's on the wish list?
Hmm. Um, so I do this game with my sister every now and then, like name 5 countries that you want to see, and it can only be 5. And we're like,
Okay.
no, I cannot. Only name 5 is not enough. So and it changes all the time because sometimes it's you feel like you want to go someplace, and then on a trip that it's very challenging, and you decide you want to go somewhere that is not nearly as challenging. But from the top of my head, these are the places that are on the top of my wish list. uh, that I haven't already mentioned. I really want to go to see the Philippines. Dream of mine. Antarctica, another big dream of mine. Although I freak out in the cold weather, like I'd probably be sitting in Antarctica taking photos and be like, I hate myself. Canada. And it's not even the classic Canada that everyone talks about that I want to see. I really want to see Nova Scotia and
Yeah.
Prince Edward Island. Let's see. And so I mentioned 3 so far,
Correct.
right? I would love to see the Maranhão or Maranhão in Brazil.
Yeah.
It's another big dream of mine. And can we say Tanzania or
Yes.
Tanzania?
Tanzania, doesn't matter.
Yes, I wanna. Obviously, I wanna see the national parks and the wildlife and the great migration of
Yeah.
wildebeest. And I want to hike Kilimanjaro.
Sounds good. So,
So it's so easily achievable within 2021. I mean, okay, no, but I'll try. I'll try my best.
so well, it sounds like a good plan, a good wish list, not bucket list.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your blog. So what is it you're trying to achieve? What kind of audience you're trying to attend to?
So I actually have two blogs. One is My Adventures Across the World, which is a generic blog about world travel. And the other one is called Strictly Sardinia, which is about Sardinia. Which is something I did for myself and for my island, because I honestly believe I come from a very beautiful place, and I think so far it hasn't gotten any real attention, not nearly as much attention as it deserves. Both blogs have the aim of informing travelers. So my idea is to make sure that people who want to visit a specific destination get as much accurate information about it as possible from someone who's been there. So I try and write very thorough posts that will give you an exact idea of what you can expect when visiting a place, of how you should plan your trip, of what you should really be doing and what you should be avoiding instead, because I made that mistake and I would rather you not make the same mistake. It gives you hints about the hidden gems, the places that only locals know about. Obviously, the hidden gems is a bit more difficult. I can only do it for a handful of destinations,
Yeah.
which I know thoroughly, like Sardinia, obviously, some places in Israel or London, because I used to live there. Many other places I have to remain on the main path, but still, the idea is to show that even if you have limited resources and limited amount of time, you can still make the most of a place.
Okay. So, well, now that you mention it, how about a bit of information about Sardinia? Because, as you said, a lot of people probably don't know a lot about the place. So, I guess it's a good opportunity to get a local's perspective on what to see in Sardinia.
So Sardinia is a very, very popular summer holiday destinations, as like most Mediterranean countries, really. We have gorgeous beaches, and I don't just mean I mean like people from Sardinia have a very high standard of what beaches and sea and clear waters should look like, and it's honestly really, really hard to beat this standard. There's very few places in the world that meet my standards. So if I say a beach is beautiful, you got to trust me. So that is the one thing we have during the summer months. But if you decide to come any other time of the year, you will find plenty of other things to do. Cities are really pretty, very scenic. My hometown is the main city in Sardinia, Cagliari. And we have museums, we have archaeological sites, we have city parks where we have even pink flamingos. So if you're into bird watching, you get to do that. We have obviously delicious food and wine, like really, really good ones. We have city hikes, we have mountain hikes, we have coastal hikes, we have unique archaeological sites. By unique, I mean to say you don't see them anywhere else in the world. Like, you only find them here. So
Yeah.
this is the only place where you can see nuraghe. We have festivals, we have traditions, we have unique music, a lot.
Sounds like I'll need to add that to my travel destination.
You do. A lot of people, because Sardinia has never done a very good job in publicizing itself. So a lot of people don't even know where Sardinia is, and they always think, I don't know much about it. It's probably not worth my time. And then they come here for some reason because it resonates with them all of a sudden, and they visit and they're like, oh, wait a second. This is amazing.
Yeah.
This is completely unique. This is Italy, but wait, it's not quite Italy because it's actually quite different. We speak, obviously we speak Italian, but we're a minority. We have two minority languages actually. We even have a third language which so far has not been recognized as a minority, but it's 100% unique.
Yeah.
And so it's a very interesting cultural nature historical experience.
Okay. Very good. Sure, you'll probably get a lot of other visitors soon. COVID. Now you're doing a good promotion, your blog. So now we'll change tack a little bit. Can you tell me what your definition of living your best life is?
Doing something you're passionate about.
So just that. So
Well, I think so. Only when you do something that you're passionate about, you do it at your best. Whether it is passionately cooking pasta, or passionately traveling, or passionately singing, or whatever else. If you enjoy doing something, you're so much better at it.
okay. So what would your advice be to someone who may have been a little bit like you when you were in academia and maybe a little bit unhappy, unsatisfied, who's going, there's got to be something better, but hasn't really taken the leap yet, or is a little bit scared to make the change?
Take steps. You don't have to do it tomorrow. You don't have to do it the day after tomorrow. Just try the waters first and see if you like it. Maybe decide to do it part-time, like decide to go part-time on your usual job and try explore new possibilities and find time for the things that make you happy, and see if you can make the leap and make it something full-time. um, and that's when it comes to professional life.
Yeah.
When it comes to other passions, it's just a matter of trying it the first time, and see if you like it. And that's with pretty much anything. It could be diving, it could be hiking, it could be ice skating, it could be ballet.
No, good
What?
advice. So what about, we're both above the 40 mark, so what advice would you give to someone who's hitting 40 or just reached 40, who's going, oh my God, I'm 40, is going, it's nearly, time is like passing me by. So what advice would you give to someone who reaches 40?
Oh my God, you know what? I am so much happier now than I was 10 years ago. Like, the thing is that with age comes so much confidence about oneself, and so little care about the little things. Like, you don't care about the little issues that would nag you when you were younger. You just like, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. I'll forget about it, and it doesn't really. All the little things, they don't take so much space in your life anymore. So you're way more focused on the things you like, on the person you want to be. That your life becomes so much better. To me, it was a 100% improvement.
Okay. So for those who are 40, there's plenty to look forward to, so don't worry about it.
And I mean, look at us, aren't we gorgeous?
Wouldn't go that far about myself, but yes, definitely you. But so to close out, what would be 3 life lessons you've learned that you think would be of value to other people?
Okay, first of all, the one I learned today, again, and which I keep making the same mistake. Life, business, blogging, everything is a learning curve. You always have something to learn. Don't be afraid to ask, and don't be afraid of making mistake.
Okay, so two more.
So this was one life lesson, obviously.
Yes.
Do whatever you can to be happy, and really happy, and be selfish, because if you don't make yourself happy, nobody else will. So take your life in your hands and focus on that. And the third is, yes, you can really have that piece of chocolate tonight, or the glass of wine.
Very good.
By which I mean, don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
You know.
No, some
Because
very good. Carry on.
that's something I tend to do all the time. Like, I'm very hard on myself. I'm very demanding, and it's not healthy. I need to chill, and we all need to chill. We all need to forget about, whatever, what if I have that extra pound? It's okay. I mean, when it comes to 20 extra pounds, maybe you should worry, but that one extra pound, nobody cares. Just be happy. Just do the things that make you happy. That's the bottom line.
So, no, that's brilliant. So, well, thank you very much, Claudia. It's been a pleasure. I'm sure a lot of people get some inspiration from this. So, for people who are looking for you online, where can they find you?
They can find me on my main blog, which is My Adventures Across the World. And they can find me on my Sardinia blog, which is Strictly Sardinia. And both of them have my contacts, my social media, so it's easy to find me.
Okay, very good. Well, thank you again. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. It was great. Bye.